Hey guys, what's up? It's CS back here with another installment, and here are my picks for UFC on Fuel TV, Nogueira versus Werdum. Alright guys, now this looks like a typical free Brazilian card with Brazilian on Brazilian action or Brazilian versus foreigner action, and chances are that foreigner is set up to lose. That's how these things work, right? So let's just get on to it. Like usual, my preliminary card picks will be in the description below, but we'll start off at the main event on the main card, again, between Antonio Rodrigo Nogueira and Fabrício Werdum. Now, of course, the first time the TUF Brazil coaches went at it, it was in Pride in 07, and taking a look at what their careers look like now, Fabrício Werdum, definitely a more polished striker than what you saw of him back then, and Nogueira, his chin's not as elite. Physically, I don't think he moves as well, although he wasn't the greatest mover back then, but technically, as far as his boxing and his jiu-jitsu, I still think he's all there. However, what will happen with this Nogueira versus an improved Werdum when it comes to striking, I don't think it's going to look as lopsided as it did back then. Of course, Nogueira was bloodied up in that fight. Not that much, but Fabrício Werdum took a whooping on his face as well. Nogueira was able to land a 1-2 combo all day in that fight, just jab, cross, and you know what? Flustered Werdum for the most part. Werdum really couldn't get the fight to the ground on his own terms up until the third round there. And as far as his own striking, he didn't look as comfortable in the pocket as Nogueira. Nogueira kind of just stalks you and just outboxes you. That's what he was doing back then. He kind of did that to Randy Couture as well. And you saw a little bit of that against Dave Herman. I still think he can do that if Fabrício Werdum really can't settle in as far as his Muay Thai is concerned. I think Fabrício is going to have to fight a good fight on the outside as far as landing leg kicks and jabs. I think Nogueira is going to be pretty stationary, pretty flat-footed, and you're just going to have to be the faster and more fluid striker. I think Werdum can do that with his more fluid Muay Thai skills nowadays. I think he's going to be a little bit more comfortable, especially knowing that Nogueira's chin isn't what it once was. So I think Werdum might be able to open up more as far as throwing strikes not only crisper but faster and in bunches as well. So look for a more aggressive Werdum. But look for Rodrigo to stay right in there. As far as this going to 5 rounds, I don't think it's going to happen. I think one of these guys is going to get flustered by strikes to the point where, one of them goes down. I think that's going to be Nogueira. I am going to pick Fabrício Werdum to win via strikes. I think it happens in the third round. I want Nogueira to win. He's one of my MMA heroes. The guy's a soldier. And nothing against Fabrício Werdum. He's an awesome fighter as well. But, I just love Nogueira's style back in the day. Still do. He's an MMA hero of mine. But I just think that this might be the end of the road for him because I think Fabrício Werdum's got him. I don't think Werdum's skills have deteriorated whatsoever. I think he's gotten better. Sure, there's a possibility Nogueira might even knock him out himself because Nogueira still has pretty good hands and Werdum doesn't have the greatest chin, so I could see that. I just think it's more likely for Werdum to finish Nogueira as far as their ground skills are concerned. If any of these guys feel like wrestling, I'm sure the Brazilian crowd won't mind knowing the fact that both these guys are sick grapplers. I think they're going to cancel each other out on the ground as far as a finish possibly happening. I don't think anyone's going to get submitted unless someone gets knocked out cold and then submitted. So, if you see someone get taken down, expect that person on top to just ride out the round. So that could very well happen. But again, I still think that Fabrício Werdum is eventually going to get the better of Nogueira from the outside, maybe throwing kicks and maybe land a lunging punch that knocks down Nogueira, and that's where he'll finish him with more strikes. Again, I think it's going to happen in the third round. So that's my pick. Fabrício Werdum, I'm going to say TKO due to strikes, and again, third. Alrighty, folks, now let's move on to that light heavyweight co-main event between two bad Brazilians. One being Rafael Cavalcante, the former Strikeforce champion, and the other being Thiago Silva. And I also say bad because they're both bad boys in the sense that they don't pass post-fight drug tests. So let's hope that's not an issue after the outcome of this fight. But about that outcome, what do I think is going to happen? I actually have Feijão winning this pretty handily. I think he matches up pretty well with someone like Thiago Silva. Both these guys are big Brazilians. So, Feijão's low center of gravity, I think, is going to counter the wrestling-based game plan that I think Thiago Silva might have. Silva is not as versed as previous strikers that Feijão has faced. And because of that, I think that Thiago Silva is not going to want to strike with him. I think that he's going to want to clinch up with Feijão Cavalcante and maybe take him down from there. But I think Feijão is going to do a good job of getting underhooks, turning the tides on Thiago Silva, and then maybe separating. I think Feijão is going to want to just keep this standing, land leg kicks, and punch combinations at will. He's going to look a little bit more fluid in the pocket. Maybe Thiago Silva is able to knock down and maybe out Raphael Cavalcante. I just think it's unlikely. You know what? Feijão hasn't been knocked out since Dan Henderson. I don't think that someone like Thiago Silva is as comfortable in the pocket as someone like Dan Henderson or even Mike Kyle. So I just look for Feijão to just take advantage, grab the center of the octagon, and just land punches and kicks at will, and maybe get taken down or clinched up here and there. But I think he'll be able to weather that storm. Thiago Silva is a very good fighter, don't get me wrong, but for me, I think he's kind of like a gatekeeper in terms of his skill set. If you're going to have elite something against Thiago Silva, chances are you can win. In this case, it's elite sprawl and brawl ability, and that's, of course, on the side of Feijão Cavalcante. So he's going to use that in this fight. I think he's going to primarily just land leg kicks and punch combos at will. I think he's going to land 1-2 really well, maybe some uppercuts, maybe even get a finish in the mid to late part of the fight, maybe in the early part of the fight, but I think he fights kind of safe and picks up a unanimous decision, so that's my pick. Raphael Cavalcante via Sprawl and Brawl UD. Alrighty, folks, now let's move on to that middleweight bout between Daniel Sarafian and Eddie Mendez. I cannot believe they're still trying to push Daniel Sarafian, and he's a very okay fighter, if you ask me. I don't think he's great at anything. He has okay jiu-jitsu skills, offensively and defensively. He has pretty good punching power. He's kind of wild. His top control is pretty good, and his wrestling, it's all right too. Against someone like Eddie Mendez, Mendez is pretty much a crappier American version of Daniel Sarafian from what I've seen of Mendez's tape. So this is obviously just to put Daniel Sarafian over with the Brazilians, because CB kind of just spoiled that the last time Daniel Sarafian fought. So Daniel should be able to win this fight however he wants, whether it's by knockout or submission. I'm going to say he knocks him down, finishes him with a TKO in the first round. Shouldn't be that hard of a fight for Daniel Sarafian from what I've seen of Eddie Mendez. I think he clips him with like a lunging hook or something like that, and just finishes him off with more punches. So that's my pick. First round TKO for Daniel Sarafian. And next up, another shellacking, Erick Silva versus Jason High in welterweight. Jason High, they're bringing back this guy. Now, Jason High, as far as skill set, kind of like John Fitch, but just worse at everything else. I think Erick Silva is going to get together for his Brazilian faithful crowd in this fight. I think his takedown defense is going to look on point. I think he's going to use the jab game real well, maybe land leg kicks here and there. I just can't see Jason High being able to out-wrestle that big, strong boy in Erick Silva for at least 1.5 rounds to pick up a unanimous decision. That's how I would see High winning, maybe a close split D via takedowns as much as he can. I just don't think enough of them are going to happen. I'm not even sure if he's going to take down Erick Silva. Actually, I don't think he is. I think Erick Silva is going to look good this fight as far as what he has to do to win. Jason High is a good opponent for him. Knowing what we saw out of Erick Silva against John Fitch, can he correct some of those mistakes against a lesser fighter? We'll find out against Jason High, because Jason High is that guy. So he's going to stuff takedowns against High and maybe land punches or knees on his way to trying to defend some of that. And I think Jason High will get flustered to the point on the feet where, he's going to go in for a lazy takedown attempt, maybe get caught with a punch or a knee coming in. And I'm going to say that's when Erick Silva finishes him off with more strikes for a TKO. So that's my pick, Erick Silva. We'll say this happens in the second round. And moving on, last but not least, a featherweight bout to kick us off on the main card between Mike Wilkinson and Rony Jason. Rony Jason, one of the more exciting fighters in the UFC featherweight division. Of course, he won TUF Brazil in the featherweight division last season. Very good fighter, pretty well-rounded, good jiu-jitsu, good defensively as well. Striking-wise, he's a pretty aggressive fighter, likes to move forward, uses leg kicks, combinations. He's all there as far as a mixed martial artist, if you ask me. I'm not sure about his cardio. I think he has it. I don't know. Mike Wilkinson might be able to test that out if you guys know who Mike Wilkinson is. Last time I saw him, he was against that Brendan guy. I can't remember. But he was able to march through a lot of that guy's strikes as far as leg kicks and jabs. Got bloodied up and was still able to take this guy down and control him for the most part. Rony Jason, if his takedown defense isn't there, he's going to have to find ways to be able to sweep this guy, get on top, maybe land strikes for a finish or to just get back up. I think he'll be able to over the course of 3 rounds at least. I think that he's going to be too dynamic on the feet as far as just pivoting and not being flat-footed and just rotating around someone like Mike Wilkinson, just popping a jab in his face and not getting stalked. He doesn't want to get stalked against someone who wants to take him down, of course. So I think Jason's going to have to be aggressive in this fight, yet kind of fight on the outside. He'll figure it out. I just don't think Mike Wilkinson coming down to featherweight is the guy to beat him here. So I'm going to go with Rony Jason to win. I'm going to say he actually finishes him. I'm going to go with first round stoppage due to strikes, Rony Jason. And there it is, guys. That about does it for my picks for UFC on Fuel TV. Nogueira versus Werdum. I'm going to throw in 2 because it is the second matchup between them, but they didn't add the 2 to the title of this card because that match didn't happen in the UFC. Oh well. But yeah, it's going to be a sick main event. I think that main card is going to be fun as hell, so definitely tune into this card. And if you guys want, again, my preliminary card picks are in the description below. If you guys want to PM me for my betting picks or whatnot, please do so. I did pretty good on the last card as far as my gold picks, so I'm really happy about that, gold being my highest. That's how I grade my picks, gold, silver, bronze. And yeah, I'm pretty satisfied at the results of the last card. But as for this card, I'll see what I can come up with. So again, PM me if you feel like it. And hopefully you guys enjoy this card. So thanks for all the support once again. Deuces for all my supporters, bruises for all my haters, and take care.